that man on the show, on the show, on the show. He's a game-changing man. Don't you know? Don't you know? He's a strawberry man. Got that red fruit. It's the game-changer show with LaQuan, with LaQuan. Carla, your host. She's the best. She's the best. And on this episode, with that red fruit, our sponsor is strawberry. Strawberries. Our sponsor is strawberry. It's Sports Affiliation, presenting the Game Change podcast with Carla and LaQuan Jones.
Wow.
I love it.
Wow. That was insane. Like, it was a good tune too. Like, it was smooth. Like, wow. Wow, what an intro.
LaQuan, what's with the strawberries before we start?
Oh my God. So it's been so many years since I've been without a strawberry. Like, at 33 years old, I had my first ever strawberry. And like, people didn't believe me, but I'm dead serious. I've never had the urge to bite into a strawberry. Like, it just wasn't in my rotation of like daily foods, and it changed my life. And I was able to share that moment with Marcus Grant and, Michael Florio and Manti Te'o, which was one of the greatest people to be there to witness that. But I didn't even know how to bite into it. Like, that's how you know I've never eaten. Like, I almost ate the green part. If Manti didn't tell me not to eat the green part, that whole thing was going in my mouth. Like, it would have been gone.
That's awesome. How did Ronnie know about it?
Ronnie is he's a special friend of mine because he knows all the things that I like, and then he's that one friend that makes something so special that we just saw in that intro where it's like, dude, that's out of the park. Like, you've taken the strawberry love to like the next level. So what an intro. That hands down the best intro I've ever had on a podcast.
That's amazing. I mean, if people don't know Ronnie, they need to get to know him because he is a really special human being, to say the least. He made that video literally 10 minutes before we go live. Like,
wow.
Just for you. Just for you. That's how special you are. So thank you, Ronnie.
Wow. 10 minutes before show is insane, Ronnie.
Yes.
That's a workaholic right there, man. Thank you for that intro.
Yeah. So let's start the show with welcoming LaQuan to the 70th episode of the Game Changers.
Ooh, let's go.
Carla, your host, and I'm featuring LaQuan Jones tonight. His extensive expertise will provide invaluable insights into our discussion, where we will explore thought-provoking topics to ensure a one-of-a-kind experience for our audience. A special thank you to the SA team for their support in creating this platform for meaningful conversations with community leaders and innovators. Join me as I delve into the stories and insights of my guests, particularly in the realm of fantasy football. The Game Changers foster a unique community, and I'm honored to share this journey with all of you tonight. Who is LaQuan Jones? LaQuan Jones is an accomplished editorial researcher and fantasy analyst at NFL Network, where he brings his extensive knowledge and passion for football. As a prominent contributor to the NFL Fantasy Podcast, LaQuan delivers insightful analysis and expert guidance to fantasy football enthusiasts. His role at NFL Network also includes producing compelling content for Good Morning Football and
Hey.
NFL fantasy, ensuring keeping fans well informed and entertained. In addition to his work at NFL Network, LaQuan is an analyst for FTN Fantasy, where he continues to share his expertise and innovative strategies with a broader audience. His commitment to the sport and his ability to break down complex data make him a valuable asset to the fantasy football community. LaQuan's content also can be found on Sick Pod Rants, where he covers the latest news and developments for the Los Angeles Rams. A proud New Jersey native, LaQuan is a passionate supporter for both the Rams and Manchester United, often
Yeah.
sharing his thoughts and insight on social media. There's a lot of notable analysis by LaQuan Jones in the fantasy football realm. I can say at least four of them. Way too early 2025 fantasy football draft preview, 2025 FFPC playoff challenge, week 18 must start defense D/ST streamers, and the Sick Podcast Rams recap. Well, LaQuan, I'm so honored to have you tonight on my show. Welcome. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I mean, wow, the kind words. I mean, expert. I always hear it. I'm like, I'm no expert. Like I'm just some guy that likes football, that is very passionate about the sport, and I have strong opinions sometimes. I mean, expert, sure, I'll take it.
That's what makes you an expert, LaQuan, and so many, like a lot of people around you. So thank you for sharing your journey tonight with us. I'm so
Yeah,
happy to get to know you a little more.
yeah.
So some people on in the chat, when I posted that I'm seeing you tonight, they were like, "Oh my God, I met LaQuan like in person."
Yeah.
I've never met you in person, and I'm so excited to ask you, are you going to the expo this year?
Oh, the expo is coming up. It's coming up fast. Like I just started seeing people buzzing about it, and I want to try my best to get there this year because I might be doing some traveling this year in August, and but my son's birthday's so close to that, it's one of those things like we might do it big for Mason this year, you know?
Happy early birthday. You should bring your son too, so we can
Yeah,
celebrate there.
I mean, he will love it. He will love it, man. As long as we're talking football and there's some type of football on the screen, he's locked in.
And everyone will make him feel so special. And I will bring him a cake if you bring him. So let me know.
Oh, he'll eat that cake. He'll love it. He'll love it.
I love that. How old your son will be when like coming
He'll
this
be
August?
9, the big 9-year-old. Yeah,
That's a
it's
sweet, that's a
going
sweet
fast.
age.
Yes.
Yeah, he will be double next year, and it's gonna go like
Slow
super
down.
fast.
I don't know if I'm ready for all that.
It's gonna go super fast. So, Laquan, what initially drew you to a career in football analysis?
Wow. I mean, it started a very, very long time ago. I almost want to say like around 2016, 2017. I thought about doing like YouTube videos and analyst stuff and try to put some of my content on YouTube, but more so it started just from how most of these things start for their passion, addiction to fantasy football. You get in a league, like it kind of took me forever to really jump into a fantasy league. And like one of my best friends, we're working together and he's like, dude, I need a body, man. Come join my dad's league, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what is this fantasy football? Like, I'm not into this. Like, I'm all Rams. Like, I'm not watching any other game but the Rams. If you're playing the Rams, I will be happy to watch the other team because they're playing the Rams. And like, it was really just Manchester United, Rams. That was it. And the Boston Celtics at that time as well. But
Yeah.
once fantasy football took over, it was like, wow, like this is what you guys do every year. Like this gets me more tapped into the game. Like I'm starting to learn more players and everything else that's going on in the league and headlines. Every headline matters. And like it all started with me winning, my best friend's dad's league. And I remember my two players. I had Julio Jones and AJ Green. That was like the best two picks in the first 2 rounds that got me to the championship. I had Jeremy Hill as my running back. Like it was crazy, and that sparked into like, hey, like, I feel like I made some good, strong decisions that year. Wow, let's play again. So I just started playing again, playing more leagues, and we get to 2016, 2017, where I'm like watching Nick Arcolano. He's a Jersey native. Shout out to Big Dog's Gotta Eat. He had his draft parties, on YouTube, and I was just watching him. And then eventually I start going through his YouTube, and he's like posting videos about player outlooks and about, videos on strategies. And obviously his draft party like drew me in, and I'm like, wow, like, okay, like I think I could do this. And like, I had friends, I had people at work eventually ask me advice, and then it just all sparked like, I need to put all this information in one place so you guys can stop emailing me, slacking me on the job like network about questions about fantasy football. And I'm like, I feel like I can go out there and get in front of a camera and have a microphone and be comfortable. And like, I still have my very first video I've ever recorded on my YouTube channel. If you scroll all the way back, and sometimes I randomly just go look at it, and like I cringe watching it. Like, I don't know how anybody was listening, those 17 people or whoever was listening. I was just like, God, this is awful, but it humbles me. It keeps me in a headspace where it's like, this is where you started, buddy. Like, where you're at now, you're not even hitting the peak. Like, there's so much more work to do, because there's going to be videos that I watch that I do, this week, and I'll see them 5 years from now. I'm probably cringe, like, damn, dude, like, you could have tapped in a little bit more. Like, that's just how I operate. Like, I kind of wanted to do this because I love it. You know what I mean? Like, it's became a passion of mine. Like, every single year I'm looking forward to the summer redraft parties. Like, I'm looking forward to, to the season, obviously. And like, I lost a little bit of love for other sports. Like, I kind of missed out a little bit of Manchester United while grinding out this career, while trying to keep up with basketball. Then I lost my passion for basketball because of how the Celtics treated Isaiah Thomas, to be honest. But that's a whole nother story. But yeah, that's basically like my start in like falling in love with this and really wanting to get into the sports industry and take it to even higher levels of where I can't even really visually see right now.
I can hear the passion through your voice, and that's what makes you you. I see that you have fire on the mic. You're on fire. You're on fire tonight.
Yeah.
I just love what you just said. Looking back at the videos, like with the 17 people that you had, and now how you're comparing everything, and how much you are still working on yourself to become more and more and more successful. And this is what success is. Not just, okay, I'm here, just don't talk to me, I'm done. And no, you're looking back and you are questioning how much I can go furthermore, which makes you amazing in my eyes. Thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate it.
Of course.
That's awesome. So what are the most significant challenges you face as editorial researcher?
Oh man, I mean, every day's new. Every day is a fresh start to deep dive into some new data. And more so, my job is at NFL Network. Like, I'm more so responsible for having the accurate information, getting the information fast, and more so finding the information that nobody else is finding, and try to find those stats that are kind of buried like under the surface. And I really feel as though like it's one of those jobs that it kind of fits into what got me in love with fantasy football, the numbers, and trying to find the sneaky sleepers. And in this instance of what I do at, my job at NFL Network and kind of working with the Good Morning Football show is more so of like, find something that nobody's talking about, or find something that's so interesting. Like, oh, I can't wait to say this on air. And like a lot of the information that, that the great research department that we have at NFL Network as a collective come together and give the talent, it's like that's what makes like these TV shows like have the information that this other network's not giving you, or have that fun way to use the stat, or try to find like the sneaky guys like a Zach Bond. Shout out to Peter Schrager. I mean, he crowned Zach Bond linebacker for the Eagles, and it's like more so you see his development, and it's like this is a good player. So it's a lot being an editorial researcher, and a lot of the challenges that you you do face is more so of like, I personally struggle with like historical things. Like, cause me, I'm like, if it didn't happen in the last 5 years, I do not care. Like it does not matter to me. It does not matter to my dynasty league. Like I do not care. But that's the line that that you have to cross to open up your broad of thinking of like, well, I could do a nice historical comp. Like find a way that you want to help, whatever situation you're helping putting the fire out of like figuring out what data and historical stat that this certain person needs. I end up finding myself like living in the 70s and making the comparisons to, when the Rams and the defensive line was out there killing it, or the late 90s when you have DeMarco Farr on the defensive line and Mike Jones in the linebacker spot and making the tackle and all this other stuff, making those pro comps to that and bringing it to basically a player of now, like for the combine, for example, that could be great comps for a show right now. Like it's like research is like very interesting, and it's very easy to fall in love with it and kind of just dive into it and stay into it.
That's amazing. So you say that you go back 5 years. If you tell me to go back one day, I don't remember anything. So this for you. I love that.
Yes, like
5 years.
I don't want to say 5 years, maybe 15 years ago. Like I don't care. Like 5 years is still pretty relevant.
I love it. I love it. So I want to talk a little bit about the NFL Network. So we all sit behind, this TV behind closed doors, and we watch the NFL from our home. Can you talk, walk us through a typical day at the NFL Network with you?
Oh, with me, so I'm working the graveyard shift. So my shift starts at 2 a.m. So 2 a.m. I am up, I am getting ready for the show that airs at 5 a.m. So between that time, there's production meetings, there's, requests from talent, based on the information that they want to talk about for the topics. You're fact checking graphics before they arrive on TV, and then you find a bite to eat in the middle. And then there might be short time where you can talk to talent and kind of like get the chemistry with them and try to figure out, what they're going to be talking about that day and kind of retool or help or even iron out some details or, upon their request to help strengthen their take and stuff like that. That's basically what I'm doing from 2 to 5. And then throughout the show, last season, I basically made some appearances as like them breaking the fourth wall and getting me involved on the show, little airtime and stuff like that. Like I was incredibly uncomfortable with the whole situation. Like I am not, like that. I was just like, I don't think I'm ready. Let me work at my own pace when it comes to things like that. But more so, that's basically the day. And, obviously with the show going on, through breaks, you're checking in with talent if they need anything, if there could be breaking news that happens during the commercial break, give the information that needs to be, provided and stuff like that. And like, it's a jam-packed 6 to 8 hour shift of just TV, so it's one of those things as an editorial researcher that I'm blessed to be able to do that and also do the NFL fantasy podcast.
That's nice. So the NFL is kind of like everyone's dream, especially the ones that love football or fantasy football or anything like that. How did LaQuan made that dream come true for him for the NFL?
So I would say the dream hasn't come true yet. How about I put that in my perspective? The dream hasn't come yet. I'm not anywhere near my dream. I got my foot in the door in the situation, but more so of like, I think it was more so just going out there, obviously with Twitter and YouTube and kind of grinding, in the fantasy space and making the connections and kind of just keeping my head down and grinding and just not looking left, not looking right. And like, I'm going to do 6 videos a week. I don't care if I have to wake up 6 a.m. before my 7 a.m. shift. At the time I was working at Tesla as a mechanic. Shoot the video. I would edit on my lunch break, post it by the time I'm leaving out by like 6:30 at night, and that's kind of been, my motivation. And one night, I just applied to the NFL. It was like 3-4 in the morning, just applied to a bunch of places and the NFL was one of them. And I guess more so like doing work with Marcus and doing work with Florio and just connecting within the space, and your name kind of like feels familiar to some people. And like when I got the call back, you know, of course I asked Marcus, can I put him as a reference? And of course he was like, yeah, what's up, man? Cool. Yeah. But more so of like that connection was dope to like genuinely build off of a podcast like this, you know. And like I definitely feel as though like that was like a dream come true to even get to that, you know, point to have the call back, you know, from the NFL. And I'm like, wow, like I really do think I could do this job. Like I really think I can step up and elevate my game. And like I know, you know, somewhat of what they're looking for. So it's like once I went through that long interview process, because the interview process started in January, I didn't get hired until May. So just imagine those 4
Wow.
or 5 months of just sitting on eggshells. Like I did the first step, you know, like you're like, but within those months, I still kept my head down. I still grinded out videos. I still was making podcast appearances. Like I still was acting as everything normal. And like, there's a video that I did. I got the call that day, but like in the video, you can't even tell, like I'm excited. Like I'm still locked into doing what needs to be done at the end of the day.
That's awesome. So I've met Marcus at the expo, and he came to the show, and I'm gonna tell you from now, he's such an amazing personality.
Oh, I love
and
Marcus. I love messing with him
so much. I love him so much. So you telling me that you were talking to Marcus so you can be in the NFL network is just amazing to put him, you know, as your reference. That's just
that was a
awesome to
true
hear.
blessing. True blessing.
That's really awesome and a true blessing. So you should come to the expo so you can see Marcus too there. Just saying.
Marcus owes me a beer anyway for nothing, but
See?
I'm just gonna say that.
That's gonna be really good.
Yeah.
Talking about the NFL and you know how you are still like you put your foot in. What do you think the most rewarding part of being in the NFL right now for you? And what's the next step for LaQuan?
The most rewarding is just building the relationships with some of the people that you sat on your couch and watched, and it's like one of the dopest relationships, or multiple relationships really, was like I built this relationship with Isaiah Stanback. He's a former Patriots backup quarterback, and like he's just an amazing dude, and he brings that energy. And like he's one of those guys that you watch his work and you just admire it. And like I've learned so much from him. I've told him this, so he knows that. And then like building a relationship with Manti Te'o, like he like 2 a.m. this dude energy is on 1,000. Like he calls me Rich Homie Quan, like, hey, turn that Kendrick on. Then like we're banging Squabble up, and we're banging, you know, like Not Like Us, 2 a.m., like 3 in the morning before showtime. And like he keeps the energy up. And like getting to know Manti, like he's such just a dope spirit, man. Like he's such a good dude. And like I'm so happy to be even getting the chance to be in the same vicinity as some of these guys and like building these relationships. And like it's just amazing, you know. Akbar Bajamia he's on Good Morning Football as well. I mean, NFL media product. I mean, he used to do fantasy for us, and he's a dope relationship that I was able to like even get close to and work very close with on the show as well. And like you just get to meet dope people. I mean, and what's next for me? I never really look for what's next. It's kind of like I just put my head down and grind, and when I pick my head back up a little bit, and that opportunity is there, then I'm going to attack it. That's just kind of how I've been for the last couple of years, you know?
That's awesome. That's awesome. Every single opportunity, just grab it. And that's what, you know, what makes you. That's amazing. So we will talk later about the people that you talk about. Maybe we can bring them on the show later.
Oh, absolutely.
So everybody here in the comments, they're saying how much they love you, and they're talking, you know, about the 2 a.m. Thing. And I'm going to just let them know and let you know that I'm a night owl. So me, you, and
Nice.
Doug Orr, we will be on good terms.
Night owls, let's go.
So 2 a.m. is when I go and have breakfast, or we would be eating dinner or something like that. Me
You'll
and
be
Doug and
consuming food
everybody.
at that hour.
Not kidding. We would be sitting and eating, like it's 2 a.m. and everybody here laugh at us. You eat at that time? I'm like, yeah, I mean, that's our time. It's
Yeah,
fine.
whatever. It's our thing.
2 a.m. It's still early. It's still early.
Yes,
That's awesome.
very early.
So, how do you keep your content not French, fresh? Like,
Oh, I was about to say French. Oui. Bonjour.
oui, oui.
But I keep it French and fresh.
I'll keep
More
it
so
fresh
just-
for you, French. How do you keep it fresh and engaging for fantasy football onto this?
I try to keep it fresh, and I definitely try to keep it engaging. Like for the most part, like I think I take these breaks from like social media at times, and then when I come back, I make sure I'm tapping into the fantasy streets. I make sure I'm tapping into the timeline and keeping up what's going on, because sometimes you do need a break. Like sometimes I
Yes.
have to put the phone down and kind of just exist in reality, like I've always had this thing, like I can literally shut this phone and it'll be quiet, and like
Yeah.
it's just going to stay there, and like I think when I come back and I lock back into what's going on and what's the latest, and like that gets my mind going to being creative and trying to jump into new things and kind of play catch up, but then try to play, stay ahead as well.
Yeah. So keep it
Hey,
French.
shout out Kelly.
Yeah, that's awesome. What are your top 3 tips for beginners in fantasy football?
Rule number 1, be yourself, because people can definitely tell out the door. Like, I mean, it's very easy to tell. Number 2, don't take yourself too serious and just have fun with it, And number 3, I mean, don't try to be toxic, don't try to be like negative nanny, and like don't think of yourself as some type of guru as well. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, we all get things wrong. I happen to get so many players wrong every year, and I'm paying for Greg Dortch right now that I've hurt in so many strawberry Dorchland souls with Greg Dortch. But I would like to say on this platform, that was not my fault. Okay. He just did not get on the field. And again, it's not because of his talent. It's because of what the offense is. But I can go into a whole spiel right now, but more so looking at it, it's like, just have fun with it at the end of the day. Like take it serious about your passion and craft, but like have fun with it while you're doing this, like don't take yourself way too serious. Like don't come up here with a suit and tie unless it's your thing, but just be yourself. Number 1 off the top.
That's amazing. I love what I'm hearing. I really love it. Thank you for sharing that, because a lot of people just they be snobby or they're not real behind closed doors, and then when you see them you're like in shock. So be yourself. That's really 3 important tips that you just gave, LaQuan. So talking about prediction, and I know that sometimes that football players, they got hurt, they like you said, some of your players didn't even play some of the seasons. So how do you approach prediction or predicting a player performance each season, putting in mind that these stuff can happen every single year?
So I really haven't cracked the code of my formula of how I do this predicting, but I like to stick to guys that I feel as though in my gut, like I like his work. Like I like the numbers that I'm seeing. There's so much upside. The situational has changed for this guy. Maybe I can get behind him and like sell him a proper way. Like I feel like luckily I got lucky with John Smith, but I went with my gut on there, like knowing like Mike McDaniel has been chasing this speedster offensive look. And if he can get a speedster at the tight end position, oh God, he's going to love that and know how to exploit that. So it's more so of having those steps and thoughts and having like a real take behind something. I think it puts you in a better lane of getting that prediction right. But again, we don't have the exact formula of how to predict what these players are going to do on Sundays. So it's more so of like, you have to have the mindset of like, I'm going to get some of these wrong. You have to stand on all 10 toes, stand on business, and take whatever you did. Like, I embraced the Greg Dortch, backlash, because I was brave enough to stand on top of a mountain and say, this guy is good at football and you should be drafting him. Sometimes it doesn't pan out what you want to be, but I'm not going to be hateful and negative on the timeline and put the blame on Greg Dortch. The blame's on me. I'll take it. But we're still going to be on the Greg Dortch hype train. I'm not going to give up. There's so many players that people on the timeline love and hold on to. Like, I let them do their thing. Let me do my thing, okay?
I've seen a lot of prediction. Like this week, you put like let's say Patrick Mahomes, and he will not score anything. The next week, you take him out, and then he scores all these like touchdowns or whatever. It's crazy. Like, this is prediction. This is what makes you a human being. You never know what's gonna happen. It's a game. So I agree with you 100%. You never know what's gonna happen next.
I try my best to just do the homework, is what we like to call it. Like, do the homework on the player. And like, I feel like if I check all the boxes in my heart and my formula that I can get behind a player, I think I should be fine. I should be able to stand on all 10 toes, even if he does bust. But I will try to figure out a situation of like what happened and why this didn't work, though. That's part of doing the homework.
That's crazy. That's amazing. So what's the most overlooked aspect of fantasy football strategy?
The most overlooked
In
part of the strategy of playing or making content?
And like, it can be in playing or making content. It's up to you.
So the most overlooked strategy, I think, like, there's always the punting on quarterbacks, punting on tight ends. I think right now the most overlooked is like going heavy on like wide receivers, because I feel like now we're in a time where offenses is like, it's an offensive friendly league. So like, you're getting more production, more points, more opportunities with these wide receivers, and you're getting a lot of teams that are having some success with two wide receivers being able to live and breathe and coexist on the same team. So I think that's a most overlooked strategy. I think everybody loves the RB hero, going running back. That used to be my style a couple years ago, and then it bit me in the ass for the last couple of years. But
I hear you.
But more so, like, I think that's an overlooked strategy right now.
Yeah, I hear you on that. So I sit next to someone that, like, to the dot. I'm not even kidding you. So I know what you're talking about. It's just insane. So talking about Los Angeles Rams and Sick Pod Rams, how do you stay up to date with the latest development for the Rams?
Well, my crazy passion and love for them all these years. I mean, being a guy from New Jersey and falling in love with the Rams, that was my first ever football, game ever watching. So it's one of the things where it's like, I'm obsessed with them. So I'm going to stay up to date with them. And it definitely helps now living in Los Angeles. I mean, full circle moment, like, where it's like, I work directly next to SoFi Stadium, and the Rams are here, and I'm living in LA, and I love the Rams. Like, I just could not see this in my dreams as a kid ever happening. But it's like, I absolutely love talking Rams, because I feel like that's when my absolute passion itself. Because when I start talking Rams, I can go for a while and I can stand on everything I say with it. And I feel as though, like, having that love and passion for them, it's what keeps me so locked in.
So what's your favorite moment for covering Rams games?
So I would say my favorite moment this past season was actually me going on a rant on my podcast, the Sick Podcast on YouTube, complaining about Blake Corum not getting any touches. And I was very vocal about that. Like, I had like 3 statuses in a row about it, like some good retweets and feedback and engagement from it. And I'm like, I don't get why we drafted this guy and we're not going to use him. And then that very next week, and I'm like, wait, he's getting involved. Let's go. Let's go. Like, it was just so beautiful to see Blake Corum to start getting some opportunities. I believe it was in that Saints game. And like, ever since then, like, I look back to that moment as a moment like this past season, like Rams fans and Blake Corum stands, I should say, were able to celebrate and be like, he's getting on the field. So like, that was definitely one of my favorite moments just this past season.
That's awesome. Did you meet up with anyone like a celebrity, a football celebrity? And if yes, what impact did they do to your life after you met them?
Wow. So I remember meeting Kurt Warner in like a production meeting for Total Access. And like I was freaking out the whole morning and like, oh my God, this is Kurt Warner. This is Kurt Warner. This is like, oh my God, this is crazy. Like, this is Super Bowl winning Kurt Warner, Hall of Fame. Like, I'm like, this is Rams. Like, and I went in that production meeting and like, he's such a just cool, chilled guy, so professional. And like, you're just sitting in that room and odd, but I'm like, yo, dude, like, it's mad chill. Like, I'm super comfortable. And like, when he talks to you, he gives you your attention. Like, he's looking you in the eye and like, damn, this is Kurt Warner, man. Like, this is great. Like, it just made me feel a lot more confident and like more chilled around, like, I guess, other like celebrity, like football players, and like not be too enthralled and scared at a moment where like it almost affects your job performance. Like, geez, like it's Kurt Warner. But like, he made me feel so calm. And like, since that moment in my first season working at the NFL, until
That's
now, like, it made me more easy opening to be around like that status of like, you know, legends in the game and like meeting them. And like, I met Steven Jackson in that same season, and I'm like chilled. I'm like, okay, you're the reason why I drew my dreadlocks out, man. Like, Action Jackson, I remember you being the only reason why I would watch Rams games, and like having that go through my head, but I'm like mad chilled about it. Like, it just helped so much to be, you know, working at the NFL and just be more just relaxed around it, you know?
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. So, what's your most significant takeaway from hosting the Sick podcast, Rams Recap?
My takeaway is that let me see. I never really thought of a takeaway for my pod. I mean, more so I'm doing it because I'm like chilled, comfortable, talking about something that I'm passionately in love with. Not that I'm not passionately in love with fantasy football, but just it's just more that way. But like, I feel like it's like comfort for me to get on the mic and camera and do it, you know? Like, it's definitely something that I look forward to doing. It's not like, I gotta do the Sick podcast now. Like, no, I'm like super hyped up about it. Like, I'm more hyped up about it sometimes when I like have to lock in every week telling people what their starters is, you know, like whatever. But it's more so of like, that is like my comfort show, I will call it.
That's amazing. So you're so like engaging on social media. I
try
we're
to
friends
be.
on Facebook, and yeah, and I love it. And I see all your videos. So what's the most surprising interaction you've had with a fan online?
Wow. Most surprising interaction. You know what? It was just a couple months ago, and we had listeners from like all over the world at the NFL Network. So like, it's like when you have somebody DM you from Australia, and they're like, dude,
Wow.
where's your blonde hair? Because I said, if Jonnu Smith finishes as a top 5 tight end, I will dye my hair blonde. And I wore it for a couple days. I wore it strong. But when it went away for the next couple shows after I basically went back to my normal hair, this guy from Australia was like checking me, man. He was like, yo, man, you were supposed to have your hair blonde for the rest of the season, which I did not say if you listen to the pod, but I did not say that. But like, it was just so cool and like off guard. Like, yo, where are you from? Like, you from Australia? Like, wow. Okay. I did not know my voice was being heard there. Like that just really like, that was just like a moment like, damn, bro, like that's awesome. That is awesome.
Yes,
but that was like so crazy to me. Like, what the heck?
He remembers and he wants the blonde hair, LaQuan.
Yeah,
I want the blonde hair too.
I still see the comments on YouTube, even though it's the off season. You got people every single week like, "Yo, where's the blonde hair?" It's coming back. Relax. We're workshopping it. Okay, it's coming
That's
back.
awesome. I love it. So, how do you handle criticism and negative feedback on social platforms?
On social platforms, to me, I mean, if I'm going to be honest, man, like the world we live in, the internet, like I've been on the internet since the internet was dial up. Like I've heard mean things in group chats, the chat rooms of the AIM eras, and like the your friends. Like I grew up like with cousins that were like hard on me. Like what you say online, I don't even know you. You don't know me. I don't care. Like I don't care. And like
Maybe.
if it's actual good criticism that is worth the energy of like going back and forth about it. Like if I'm very passionate about Greg Dortch, I'm going to keep bringing up Greg Dortch. Being passionate about him, I'm not going to personally attack you, but if you start personally attacking me, oh, okay, whatever, cool, you got it, boss. Like it doesn't really like take over my second of my day. Like it won't affect me whatsoever what I see or hear online, because like at the end of the day, I'm doing this for fun. Like I love this. This is my passion. What you say is not going to break my heart and lose the love for what I'm doing right now. Like I love fantasy football. What this stranger over there say to me is not going to make me stop wanting to play fantasy football. Like that just does not make sense to me, or stop getting in front of this camera with a mic. As long as I'm paying this internet bill, y'all going to see me online. Like I don't care what this stranger over here is saying about my videos. And like, again, even when you're an up and coming creator and you're just getting into this, ignore the negativity. It's going to live there. It's going to be there, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. So
Yeah.
just enjoy the craft of what you're doing. Enjoy the work. Enjoy that. Like you never know who's watching. You never know who's watching. You never know who the 17 people are who's watching you. You never know. You know what I mean?
I-
Just keep going. So the negativity, it does not bother me whatsoever.
that's good to hear. So, about negativity, and as a woman in the sports right now, I don't consider myself as a fantasy football player because I don't play. But what do you think about football? And what can you tell these women about how people react negatively to them at on social media? What can you tell them,
Could you say
Laquan?
the first part again? You kind of froze.
Oh, so I'm a woman of
Yes.
sport. I'm not
Yeah.
into fantasy football. I'm not gonna say I'm in fantasy football because I don't play, but I see a lot of negativity that goes around on social media for women. So, Laquan Jones, what can you say to women of in the fantasy football field, and how can you give them like, are you with women being in fantasy football and sports, or against women being in fantasy football of
With
sports?
them. With them, of course. And girls, keep going strong. The negative men that say the negative things of like their go-to, oh, get back in the kitchen, all this other crap, like they're just mad that you're up there shining, talking about a sport that they love, that they can't articulate in their head and understand your angle of a take, or understand that you're actually right at what you're talking about. So, girls, please keep going strong. Keep those men over here in the pocket that jump in your comments, that want to be in your DMs and be your Prince Charming, but they're on the timeline talking crazy. It doesn't make sense. Like
Yeah.
the thing is, like with women in sports, there's more power in numbers. So I'm definitely for it. And it's more so of like those guys that do that, and like they're never gonna have a lane in sports. They're never gonna have a lane to get to where that woman is in her career, or her even having the bravery to get online and put herself out there to talk about a sport that this audience kind of negatively exists. Like, come on, that is crazy to me that we still in 2025 that women in sports is still being looked at kind of like, huh? Like,
Yeah.
no, you guys are here. You're welcome. Shout out to Sam Holt. Shout out to Kendall, Maddie. Like these are close friends of mine that are women in sports that I would support to the end of the line. Shout out to Kelly. Like she has become such a huge friend to me, and like Kelly is like one of the best people that's in this industry, really, because like she has such a open and warm heart. You know what I mean? And like we need more of that. We need more of that instead of like the violence of like going competitive, the alpha males. That like no, we need more love and more support of each other, more so. And like hopefully we get there. You know.
And they are so successful in what they do. Like they are really successful. So thank you for talking about women.
Carla, you too. We gonna get you in one of these fantasy leagues, and we gonna get you part, and then you gonna come on my podcast, and we're gonna talk about your team. How about that?
Oh, I will be so honored. I will be so honored. So, can you share a surprising prediction for the 2025 fantasy football season?
A shocking prediction. So I'll give you two. I'll give you a Rams one, and then I'll give you a fantasy one. The Rams one is very simple. So the Rams are going to make the Super Bowl this next season. And it's going to be more so of the weapons and additions and moves that we make in free agency and on draft day. Now for fantasy, I think for fantasy, Brian Thomas Jr., this is a hot take. Brian Thomas Jr. will finish wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2. And Trevor Lawrence, even though I have my beef against him, it'll be a breakout season for him. I'm not going to put like top 15, but it'll be a breakout season for Trevor Lawrence, where we could start actually believing in Trevor Lawrence being this prospect in fantasy, you know, God, you know, to some of the folks out there who are still holding on to those dynasty shares. But yeah, that's my prediction.
That's awesome to hear. So I think JC is asking a question. Cup staying or leaving? Maybe DK Metcalf?
I think Cup is done. And I think, you know, it's been a great run. This is something that the Rams do kind of with some of their players that are broken. But no DK, please. No DK. No.
How about T Law this year? He's a huge.
Oh, Trevor Lawrence. I mean, look, man, things could happen. This could be a breakout year. I'm not drafting him in fantasy though. You know, I'm not doing that. No. Ew. Let's go.
So, how do you see fantasy football evolving in the next 5 years, LaQuan?
Oh, wow. I mean, I want to get, you know, IDP on the front, like on the mainstream front. Like I love, you know, defenses, and I want to get more involved in IDPs, but best ball has taken over the world. Like you could be in like 25 leagues and it would be flawless. Like never have to set your lineup. It's beautiful. But I definitely see, you know, fantasy just continue on growing. Like there's so many new fresh faces that are coming into the space like every single day. And I think as long as we have that going, we'll be able to get on here and have fun with this. And like at the end of the day, like I see myself still doing this, but more so of like me still having that same love and passion of me sitting here now, you know?
Agree. If you have the passion, if you have the love for the game, you can, you know, keep going, which is really awesome. So tell me a little bit about if you have like you're sitting and watching a game.
Yeah.
Do you have any pre-game ritual or superstition?
Yes. So on Sundays. So on Sundays when Rams are playing, especially if we're home and I can't go to the game, I'll put on like my Ram socks or like a Ram shirt or like or a hoodie. Like I got to be wearing something Rams. And depending by halftime, if we're like messing up, we're down by 20, like the merch comes off and I'm like, all right, it was me, my fault. It was me in the first half. It was my fault for wearing it. And then hopefully we make the comeback, and it just makes the game a little bit more entertaining, you know, because like,
I agree. That's
like
awesome.
you love your guys. You'd be like, it's my fault. It was on me. Bad luck in the first half. We'll get back, guys. Like That's just kind of like my Sunday
love
ritual.
it. I love it. Do you clean up your socks and your like merch, or you don't?
Look, the socks are not even matching at that point. Like I just have to have something Rams. Like listen. I have so many things that I could throw on Rams merch, but the socks they never match. That's been consistent.
Oh my God. By the way, I love their helmet. I love, love, love
Yes,
Rams helmet.
yes.
I'm in love with it. So maybe you can get me one. I don't know. We will see. I love that. I love what you do. So, what's your most memorable experience as a football fan?
Most memorable experience. Um, I think one that takes the cake. Um, I got to go to a Rams game just this past season with
Yeah.
probably the best seats I've ever had going to a game, like period of all sports. And a kind friend, a colleague, as a gift for me, Scott Hansen, the great guy that he is, he gave me an opportunity to go to one of the Rams games and sit up close and personal, and like that's the closest I've ever been inside of
Cool.
like any stadium, and like to be able to like feel like you can almost touch the players, and like and Scott being who he is, and like I'm just some kid from Jersey, man. Why are you doing this for me, man? Like, come on, like, geez, like
You're
this is
special.
overwhelming. Yeah, and like that to me, like that's still sitting at the top of my list of like one of the best Rams games that I went with my family, and like it was just one of those things that I know my kids are gonna remember this
Yeah.
forever. Like, remember, like, well, hopefully we can get to more games and be a little bit more closer, but it's like they're gonna remember that first time that they were that close at a Rams game.
I agree. That's the best thing. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Wow, the best advice I ever received was from Steve Weish,
Mhm.
and more so of just like, don't worry about the outcome, just focus on the process. And
Yeah.
when I first heard that, I'm like, man, why does that sit with me so well? Like, and like, it's more so of like, don't worry about what you don't know. Like, just worry about the work. Just put the work in, fall in love with the work, stay focused to the work, and just continue the process. It's more so of like trusting the process. And
Yeah.
that
True.
was probably one of the best advice that I've gotten ever.
That's awesome. What's the craziest fantasy football trade you've ever witnessed?
Oh my God. Oh, so at my in my home league, like with my high school friends, like this league is on like year maybe 11, 11 or 12, one of those years. And the craziest trade was recorded. Like, so my two friends, they made a silly trade. I forget the exact players, but it was to the extent like where like my buddy called my other buddy. He recorded the phone call, and he's basically laughing his ass off because like the one player he's trading for is injured for the season, and he's just like thinking it's such a good deal, and he's hyping it up. Like, it's still on my Twitter somewhere. Like, it was just one of the most hilarious moments that got shared to the group chat in my league chat, where I was just like, oh my God, this is so hilarious. And like,
Oh, wow.
I can't believe they did that. Like, wow. But that was just definitely the worst trade transaction I've ever seen in any fantasy league.
That's awesome. Can you share like a funny or embarrassing moment from your career?
Oh, so I remember when I was doing videos for football guys, and I basically was like getting prepped, doing the light, and like, and I was like grinding that day at work. So this was already like a late video, and like, shout out to my wife, man. She wanted to kill me how late I was staying out to record that night, but it was just a rough day. And I ended up like knocking over the light somehow, and like it was recording as it was happening. I'm just like, oh my God, this just hit me in the face. So I just was like, oh my God, man, like how does this happen on camera? And like I shared the moment with everybody. Like I posted it, and like Joe, great guy he is, he retweeted. It was like a fun moment, the process of trying to record a 45-second video, you get smacked in the face with your light. So that definitely was a little embarrassing.
Awesome. So talking about the wife, can you share how many years you've been together and how many kids you have, LaQuan?
Yeah, so we have two beautiful kids, Mason and Layla. They're 6 and 8, and me and my wife just celebrated our 16-year anniversary just a couple weeks ago. So,
God, happy anniversary! Happy anniversary!
Thank you.
Happy wife, happy life, right?
Yes.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And because she supports you, you are there. You are here right now. You're doing an awesome job because of her support. So kudos for her. And Layla is a beautiful name, by the way. It's an Arabic name.
Thank you.
Really cool. Yeah.
I picked it. I needed to get her an L. Like I was like that, and she's like my best friend, so it kind of works out. So
that is good. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that.
My son, he's a mama's boy. He's lost.
Yeah. I really love to see your family because the expo is kind of like a family, tradition. Everybody takes everybody, and it's just amazing. So you should bring your boy and celebrate his birthday, and maybe we get to see the family, which is gonna be really amazing. So if you can create a new fantasy football rule, what would it be and why?
A new fantasy football rule.
Mm-hmm.
Get rid of standard scoring. It is a PPR world. I don't know how many invites to leagues that I've gotten through all the years of me playing. And then I say yes to the league, right?
Yeah.
And I get in there. I'm like, you got me again. It's a standard league. That's why it's important to ask before you say yes. But that's just me having the passion for the game. I just want to play. But I've gotten stuck in years past of standard leagues that need to go. Like, I don't want that. I want PPR. If my guy's working, I want him to get paid for it. So I want my 1 point because he caught it, even though he didn't go anywhere. It could be a bubble screen, goes 0 yards. I want my point for my catch.
Wow. So I want to ask a funny question.
Yeah.
If you had to explain fantasy football to an alien, how would you do it?
It's a drug that ends up being an addiction, and it helps you get more knowledge of the addiction and the game that you are entertained in watching. It's the greatest thing ever. Don't do it. Don't do it because you're gonna pay so many leagues. Like, I was in 36 leagues last year, Carla.
Oh my God! You
36.
kidding me?
Yes.
Oh
It
my
is
God!
a hassle. No, don't do it, alien. Go to another planet that does not have football.
That's crazy. 36 leagues.
Yes.
How did you
and
do
of course, some are best ball, but there's leagues of dynasty leagues and leagues that I'm like owner of, and like I'm in a lot of my buddy iterations of their leagues because there's like some friends that are wanting to play, and then the other friends want to play dynasty and auction and best ball. Like, it's all over the place, but that's how that number starts to climb. And like, I definitely want to join leagues with new people. Like, my DMs are always open. If you want me to join your league, I'm probably going to say yes, even though I shouldn't be saying yes. But it's just like, I want to jump into new leagues. Like, I want to do like a vampire league this year or something like that, or a gulag league or something. Like, I've never been in those type of leagues. So if you guys know anybody, let me know.
That's crazy. If you could turn any NFL player into an animated cartoon character, who would it be and why?
Jameis Winston. Like,
What?
he would have the most entertaining show ever. Cartoon animation. He could have his own football show. Jameis Winston is much watch TV. Like, it's just he could do anything. And like, I would sit down with the kids because it probably will be a family friendly cartoon show, and just watch Jameis and just entertain us for like 28 minutes. Like, it'll be great.
I love that. So, LaQuan, it's almost an hour, but I do have a couple questions to ask you.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit. I want to give you an example. So if your fantasy football team were a superhero squad, who would it be the team captain?
A superhero squad, team captain.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Magneto. And I look at Magneto, yeah, he's a bad guy, but I look at him as a good leader, though. You know what I mean? So, like, I
Yep.
think the team will be successful and be able to come in the clutch in the end.
Awesome. Maybe Flash could be your wide receiver.
Yes. Yes. He would definitely be very useful.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, definitely. So if you could have any animal as your fantasy football mascot, which animal would you choose?
A ram. It got to be Rampage. I can't go against one of the best mascots in the NFL possible. It has to be Rampage.
Well, for you, it's gonna definitely intimate the opposition, definitely. So in the show, LaQuan, I have a question that I ask all my guests,
Mhm.
which is if you have any secret or anything that you never ever shared live with people like around, what is that secret, or what is that something that happened early in your age that you never ever shared before and you want to share it on the Game Changers tonight?
So back then, my grandma used to make, well, she still makes cornbread, but she wouldn't make it every night. It would be like a once in a blue moon thing. So it was more so of like, oh, well, that's corny. So I tried to make it myself. And mind you, I was probably like, God, I was young enough to not supposed to be on the stove. But
How old?
I want to say I was in elementary school when I did this. But I basically I tried to make my own mixture. I didn't know you need to add eggs. I didn't know you needed to like put the right amount of milk in there. Like it was just bad. And then instead of putting it in the oven, I put it on the stove. And like this thing is cooking and like it's smoking.
You burn it. Definitely, if you hit it at the wall, it will break the wall.
I was just so scared. I was like, oh my God. And your boy got in trouble.
Oh my God. What did grandma do to you, LaQuan?
Grandma was not happy. She was not happy.
My
Not happy
God.
at all.
Love
But that
it.
was just so embarrassing. I had to be like in 5th grade when I did that, actually.
Oh my God. It's not embarrassing when you're little and you want to, like imitate a grown up and something like
Yeah,
that.
I'm like, yo, I don't know what I was thinking. I was just like, when I did get my own apartment, I did make that like every 2 weeks. Like it was like some type of good
Really?
grandma's recipe cornbread. I finally knew how to properly make it. I had her come over and show me, so we're good to go.
Do you make it for your family now, LaQuan?
Yes. We just had it for Thanksgiving, but we haven't had it since. Actually, it's been a minute. I'm probably got to get on that. But we had it for Thanksgiving, and like that was like such a great addition. Like it was one of those things. Like, yo, we should make cornbread with the cranberry sauce. Like, yeah, boom, combo.
That's amazing. I don't want to finish the episode. You're such a natural, and you're like so
Thank
sweet
you.
to talk to. I really love you, and I cannot wait to see you at the expo if it happens. So it's gonna be really amazing to get to meet you in person, LaQuan. Before we conclude, can you share how our audience can connect with you on social media?
Yeah, you can follow me at Real Deal Fantasy on all social media platforms. I'm even on Blue Sky, LaQuan Jones. Blue Sky is such a great place, man. Like, I really get to hang out and not talk football all the time over there. So if you're interested in just chatting it up about wrestling, movies, anime, comics, whatever, I'm there just hanging out, talking. So definitely follow me over there.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for joining us tonight with the
Yes.
episode of the Game Changers. I hope my discussion with LaQuan provided valuable insights into his experiences in fantasy football and life itself. Join me for the next episode on Wednesday, March 12th, featuring Sal Leto as my special guest. I would,
Hey,
yeah, I would like to
shout out
add
Sal.
I would like to acknowledge JC for his contribution behind the scene and the entire TSA family. Please subscribe to our podcast and leave a review. Your feedback is important for our improvement. Follow us on social media for updates on upcoming episodes and be part of the Sports Affiliation community where everyone is welcome. Until next time, keep challenging the game and making your mark. This is Carla and LaQuan signing off, wishing you a blessed evening. Have a good night, everybody.